there everybody, it's Kathy and you're back here in my craft room and also here on my YouTube channel. Welcome in. Thanks for joining me. Today we're doing yet another Christmas card, and I think I'm going to wrap up my Christmas cards at the end of this week. I had said I would run them through the 18th, but I think by the end of the week, I'm hoping that I'll have my new stuff, and I want to start working toward our new projects and our new items that are premiering on January the 5th, I believe. The 4th or the 5th. The new catalog will go live, and I can't wait to get my new stuff so that I can start playing with it and have something beautiful to bring to y'all. Speaking of beautiful, look at this moose. Is he not the cutest thing you've ever seen? I think he is adorable, but it's from the stamp set called All Bundled Up, and look at the other little critters that are all bundled up. We got a little raccoon, a little bunny rabbit, a cute little bird. We've got some snowflakes, which I did use on the front of this, and then we've got 3 sentiments. It's feeling a lot like Christmas. Your friendship warms my heart, and you're the coolest. I love all of these. I think they're so cute. We don't have dies with this set, so if you stamp and want to cut it out, you're either going to need to fussy cut, or you're going to need to have a brother scan and cut, something like that, some type of electronical cutting machine where you can cut your pieces out. So thought I would throw that out there. I know sometimes that will deter someone from buying a stamp set if they don't have the dies with it. But you can easily stamp this on a piece of paper and color him. Now this particular one I colored using colored pencils, and I used the Gamsol to help blend my colors, and I thought he turned out absolutely beautiful. I love the way this turned out, and I gave him some little black hooves to kind of stand out from his brown body. And with our colored pencils, you don't have a lot of the different colors to blend with, so you pretty much, I depended on the Gamsol. And the Gamsol, if you're not familiar with it, it is a liquid that you can buy that helps move your color when you're working with colored pencils. So I love it. And then I used a die from a different stamp set, and this die came from Harvest dies, and I used this long one right here, and I stamped. It's feeling a lot like Christmas, and with the snowflakes I thought it did. And then inside I stamped snowflakes, and I used the little snow dots that comes in Joyful Flurries, and I brought that one in as well to stamp some of these larger snowflakes. And then I grabbed that smaller one and I stamped it as well, and I love the way that turned out. So we're going to do this again today, but we're going to use something a little bit different. We are going to try stamping with Versamark ink and in black, and that is going to help if you have trouble staying inside the lines. This is a technique that you're going to want to learn. If you stamp in Versamark, heat emboss in black, you're going to get a nice strong image, and then you can color with your alcohol blends without, or your Stampin' blends, without having the fear of getting outside your line. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to lay all of this to the side because we're not going to need those dies, because we're going to use something a little different. So I'm going to grab a piece of basic white cardstock, and I am going to grab thick. And the reason for that, let me grab a piece of my thick. Should have this already out, but I was playing around with my prototype, and I'll show you what I came up with, and I'm going to show you how to stamp this and how to color a little bit, but then we'll go back to this piece. This is the piece that I did. Is that not stinking cute? Look at that little raccoon. I love him, and the little bird. And you see what I mean about All Bundled Up and why they named it that. They got little scarves and hats, and some have both, but I thought it was stinking adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my paper trimmer, and I'm going to put this piece of thick basic white into my trimmer. I'm going to take it over on my 11-inch side to 5.5. And if you ever wonder why I go over exactly which way I cut this, there are times that we're going to have new people that may not have made a card before, and they may not understand which way to put their paper in. So that's the reason I always specify that at the top we need our 11-inch side at the top. We're going to cut that in half at 5.5. That's going to give you a card base. So we're going to turn it on the 8.25-inch side, 8.5-inch side, and we're going to score that at 4.25 because that would be halfway. So I'm going to pull both of my blades down. This trimmer will allow you to score and trim at the same time. So you have two independent blades. You have the light gray that is a score blade, and you have the dark gray that is your cut blade. So I'm going to get that cut blade out of my way, and I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to bend it into that mountain fold. My camera doesn't like the white. It doesn't want to focus in on it. Okay, I'm going to fold that just like that, and then I'm going to use my bone folder because I want this to be a nice even, and sometimes your paper's off a little bit and it will cause you not to get a direct fold on it. But you know what? You can train your paper. Let me get this other bone folder. You can train your paper. And what I suggest doing is hold your paper really tight on with your hand, and then just use your bone folder. And I would suggest, if you are a person that wants to be a card maker and you're new, a good bone folder. Both of these are good bone folders, and the Stampin' Up! Does not carry the Teflon one. They do carry this typical bone folder, and it is good. I love my Teflon bone folder. I wish that they would start carrying one, and hopefully they will. All right, we're going to bring this our trimmer back out because we're going to need to do one other thing, and that is we're going to take this piece and we are going to score it right in the middle at 2 1/4. This is 4 1/4. Half of 2 at 4 1/4 would be 2 1/8. So I'm just going to line it up at 2 1/8, and this trimmer is great because it has fourths, eighths, and sixteenths. So it makes it nice if you have one of those projects that calls for the smaller increments. So once I get that scored really well, then we're just going to fold this back, something like that, and I'm going to line it up nice and even. Again, I'm going to use my bone folder. And if it's off a little bit, you have to remember that paper is not always perfectly cut. So your paper might be off. It might not be you. So just train that cardstock to go where you want it to go. And I'm going to give this a really good burnish because I want this to lay as flat as possible. Now, I cut some pieces of designer series paper, and this came from the Santa Express, and I love that red. I think it's so pretty. You've got like shooting stars. I think it's just gorgeous. So I have this piece, and all of my measurements is going to be in the blog. So all you have to do is click down underneath this video. There'll be a drop down that says show more, and when you do that, you will see a long list. You'll see all my information and a bunch of links that will take you to where you need to go. So click on where it says my blog, and it will take you, and you will get a free PDF tutorial with all of the dimensions, pictures of the cards, and the tutorial, along with a place to click to watch this video again. Alright, we're going to go ahead and glue this down right here. So I'm going to grab some liquid glue, and I am going to just do my little circles of glue all along here, just like that. And then I'm going to sit this in here. You want to get it nice and straight and even. That real looks good. So I'm going to give it a good press. A lot of times when I use liquid glue, I like to iron my piece down. Just take your bone folder and just slide it over it. That kind of gets all those little wrinkles and crinkles that might come from the glue kind of spread out so they don't show so bad. So now we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it onto this flap right here. So this is going to be our card fold, just like that. So I'm going to take glue, just like I did the other piece, and I'm going to put it all over this piece. And you don't need a lot of glue. A little bit goes a long ways. So again, I'm going to try to line it up nice and even, and press that down. Again, I'm going to use my bone folder and just iron that out really good. And that is wonderful. Now, I'm going to show you how I stamped. And this is a piece of the basic white thick. And I cut out using my scallop contour dies, and I used the one next to the largest. And I just ran that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and it cuts this out. So this is what, if you're not familiar with what a die cut is, this is a die cut. These are dies, and once you put this down on a regular sheet of cardstock and run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and most of you have seen that and you know what I'm talking about. I'm thinking about doing a beginner course for people that are new. Because sometimes we take for granted that everybody knows the terminology, what we mean by an A2 size card, what we mean by a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, things like that. Not all of us know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little embossing buddy. This is a powder tool that we use before we do any heat embossing, and it's an anti-static powder that keeps fingerprints and embossing powder from sticking where you might not want it, because we want to not have a nice clean image. Now I am going to use my Stamparatus for this, and I'll tell you why. I want to make sure that I get a really good image, and I'm making sure. I'm going to take that out. We don't need that. That's when you're using a photopolymer stamp, and we're using cling stamp, so we definitely don't need that. So I'm going to use this as a holder. If you notice, the stamp case makes the perfect platform that makes this even across. So I'm going to look at this and see exactly where. I'll tell you what, y'all bear with me. I'm going to clean my stamp. And to clean my stamp, let me move that out of my way, get this little card out of my way. This little card just does not want to cooperate. Lay up there. I am going to, while I'm thinking about it, let me say this. When I did my live Friday, I had a winner. Tina Gascon won one of the rolls of ribbon that I gave away. And I do not have your address, Tina. So if you're watching this, if you would please look at the email underneath here or the phone number. You can either text or you can email me with that with your mailing address. Please put your name in if you text me, and also if you email me, because sometimes people's email addresses do not coordinate with their name, or their email address does not coordinate with their name, is what I'm trying to say. So just let me know that it's you, and send me your mailing address, because I have your little package already. And when I got ready to mail these out, I looked and I thought I had your address. I don't know why, but I thought I had it. And if I'd had it in the past and I have misplaced it, please, please, please accept my apologies. I am so sorry. That's never my intent. So just email me or text me. I would appreciate it. I'm also going to put that out on Facebook in case anybody out there knows you and can have you get in touch with me. But I thought maybe this might be the best way to get in touch, and I think that's perfect right there. So I'm going to line that up nice and straight. I'm going to put a magnet on each end just to hold that nice and straight and in place. Just like that. Now we're ready to ink up, and I'm going to use my Versamark, which is a watermark ink. It is clear, it's very sticky, and it's made for embossing or for doing like a tone-on-tone color. You can actually stamp a background using this ink, and it is gorgeous because it's a faint impression of what you are putting down, but it dries, and it is a very pretty ink to use for that sort of thing. But today we're using it for heat embossing, and that's what I use it for the majority of the time. A lot of times when I want tone on tone, I will take, like, for example, a real red paper, and I will stamp it with real red ink, and that gives me that tone on tone. So, or you know, any color, whether it be Daffodil Delight, Highland Heather, Garden Green, any of your colors. I mean, just any of them. All right, I ink that up again. So, and you can see by using the Stamparatus, I can ink it again and not worry about my placement, because it's going to be in that same place unless I move the stamps or move the paper. That's why I anchored the paper down, or the cardstock, with these really super strong magnets. So I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to grab that little mat again, because that just gives me a place to park that for right now. And we're going to set that down right there. Now I'm going to bring this back over, and let's close up our ink. These are things you always need to do when you're heat embossing. Try to remember to take anything off of your craft surface that you don't want to have embossing powder on. Now I have mine in this nice little container. I'm going to grab my brush and my tweezers, and I'm going to grab it right here where I know there's no image, and I'm going to hold this over top of my black embossing powder, and I'm going to sprinkle all over, tap it. Ah, it looks like I got embossing powder there. That's okay. I'm going to go back over it again. I usually like to do it twice. And it looks like embossing powder tried to stick right there where my tweezers were, but you know what we're going to do? We're just going to brush that away using this nifty little brush. Now you can buy this essential toolkit that comes with the stamping embossing buddy that I showed you earlier. Comes with the brush, the tweezers, and a tray for you to use. Now I don't use the tray because I do so much embossing. I have more than one jar of embossing powder in there, and I just like to wipe that down before I heat emboss. So now I'm going to bring in my heat tool. But there's that kit, and it is carrying over, so it will still be available even after this catalog, the current Christmas catalog or mini catalog, goes away. I believe that Stampin', it's called the Essential Embossing Toolkit, I believe. I'm going to let this heat up. This is my heat tool, and it has two settings, so anytime you're heat embossing, you want it on 2. So I'm going to let that heat up just for a little bit and get warm. Then I'm going to bring it to the back of my cardstock, just like that, just to get it nice and warm. Then I'm going to come into the front, and when that starts to get shiny, I'll know that it's completely melted to the paper. There goes the little bird. He's starting to shine up. Oh, so pretty. And you'll be surprised how much better your alcohol coloring will look on an embossed image versus one that you just stamp. And so if you have trouble with your alcohol marker coloring, this is one of the best secrets that you will ever find for getting your embossing powder, getting your ink to stay within your lines, because this is giving you a raised up edge to color on. Okay, I think we got that all heat embossed. So I'm going to take that off. Alright, so now that we have this little piece ready, I'm going to bring in some Stampin' blends. And I got the light and dark balmy blue for our little bird. I have my dark real red for the scarf. And for my raccoon, I have 3 colors. I have the light black, and I have the 2 colors of crumb cake. And we're going to color him pretty much like I did this one. But I want to show you, now I haven't stamped my sentiment up there yet. Let's go ahead and do our coloring first. I'm going to take my dark balmy blue, and because these are small images, I am going to use my the bullet tip. These have a brush tip and a bullet tip. This is your brush tip. It's a larger tip, and then you have your bullet tip. So I'm going to use the bullet tip, and this is my dark. So I'm going to go in and do his wings. And if you notice, it's so easy to color these because you don't really have to worry about going out of the line. So like I said, if you struggle with coloring in and staying in the line, this technique will be one of your best friends. Okay, that's his wings. So I want to come around under his belly, maybe across this little tail feather with the dark, down the scarf. Let's do a little bit around his head, like that. And then I'm going to come in with that light balmy blue. Again, I'm using the bullet tip, and I'm just going to go in little circles, and we'll blend that light and dark together. And that's just how easy it is to color this. And let's pull that up. Okay, so now I'm going to take that real red and the bullet tip, and I want to color its little scarf. Now I'm not going to do any blending, I'm just doing flat out coloring. And the scarf is small, a lot of times on smaller images, and then I'm going to do his boots to match his scarf because you know we like to coordinate. So there is our little birdie and our little boots done. So now I'm going to come down to my raccoon. I also want my little rascally raccoon to have on a red sweater. And you might say, why red? Because we want his sweater to coordinate, or his scarf and hat to coordinate with our red paper that we put on our card right here. So that's why I chose the red. Oops, look what I did. I went outside the line. It can happen, so you still have to be careful, but it does make it much easier not to stray outside the line if you do it like this. Alright, so I'm going to come up here like that, and his little scarf is all done. Now let's work on his little head and face. Now I'm going to take the darker first, and I'm going to color in this little section. Oh, I didn't do his hat. I'm going to color in this little section right here. Nice and dark. And then I want to do a little bit inside of his ear of the dark, like that. And then I'm going to come down. I want to do some of his body. So I'm just going to hold this with one hand, and I'm going to do little squigglies like that. And then we're going to do this other little arm. I got ready to say hand, but I guess that would be a paw. I tell Toby and Bella all the time that they got hands and feet. I know they're hind legs and front paws. I know that. But I do like to tell my my babies, because they think they're human. They really do, because we treat them like humans. Okay, I think I got all of that I need to do done. So I'm going to come in now with my light crumb cake, and I want to color around the eyes, going up into the ear where I left a little spacing, around his nose, okay, something like that. Now his little belly, I do want to do it in the light. You notice this is going to blend in right there because I left it, I kind of brought that color over, but now I'm just going to work that together, work it in. And there we go. Now I'm going to go back and put a little bit of dark, just a little bit of dark right under here. I think it gives him a little bit more character. Like that. And then we're going to come in with that light black. I know it seems funny that we have a light black, but it really is a little bit lighter than the regular black. So I want to come in under his eyes. I'm being very careful not to get that on the white of his eyeball, because I want to make sure you can see the eye itself. Something like that. And then we're going to do his tail. And his tail, I'm going to start out with a black streak. And a dark crumb cake. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just take these off because we're going to be alternating. So I am going to color, let me zoom y'all in just a little bit. I forget sometimes that you're not close enough to actually see what I'm doing. And then we're going to do this in the dark crumb cake. And then we're going to do, the next one is going to be black. And then the last one is going to be brown, or the dark crumb cake. Now I see one other thing, well, two other things I need to do. I want to go back in with that light crumb cake, and I just want to blend in a little bit more color right in here, right there. And then we're going to grab that real red again because I forgot to do his hat. And I'm going to make the whole hat red. Isn't that adorable? So now all we need to do is stamp our sentiment, and I am going to use You're the Coolest, and we're going to stamp that right about there. And I'm using my Memento Tuxedo Block ink, and I need my stamp block. Here we go. So I'm going to load that up and ink it up. And then we're going to bring that over and stamp it right up at the top, something like that. Very good. I love it. I love it. All right, so now this is ready to go onto our front of our card. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at where we want this to land, and I want it to be about centered like that. So I know that I can put glue 4 scallops. So I know from 4 scallops over I can do my glue. So that's another good reason to use these scallops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to draw my line right here. And I know that I don't need to go any further than that. So I'm going to make sure that I just get glue on that side, and I'm going to turn it around. And then I'm going to center it up again. Once I'm pretty satisfied with that, then I'm just going to hold that down. This is another reason I use the thick white, is because this card is going to get a lot of work with this piece. So I wanted something a little thicker. Now if you want to, you can put another piece inside here, and that might be a very valid thing to do. And the reason I say that, you know, you could always do this and have it doubled like that. That would be cute, but I would do a different sentiment there. And that's the other thing I didn't do. I didn't put a base there for them to sit on. I think for this one I'm going to do I think I'm going to do the light smoky slate. It's going to be a little less intense than the crumb cake, but I'm just going to go something like that. And then underneath here, something like that. I think I like the light smoky slate better than I do using the crumb cake. Here was the crumb cake. I think it just gives it a little bit more looking like a shadow of where they're sitting. Okay, so the front is done. Now we need to decide what we're going to do here. And I am actually contemplating that won't work. Let's get another piece of this. And I think I'm going to put another piece of this, and we know we need it 2 1/8 by 5 3/8. So let's go ahead and cut this piece down. Yeah, I'm actually designing on the fly now, y'all. But like I said, all of these measurements will be in my blog under the PDF, the free PDF tutorial. So 2 1/8 and 5 3/8. So 1, 2, 3, and we can just glue this down right here. And I do think I'm going to take a piece of white and cut it, using that contour scallop die just to mimic over top. Yeah, this piece looks a little bit smaller. Yeah, let's trim this off a little bit more. And yes, I knew it had glue on it, but it wasn't that much, so I think we're okay. And give it a good press. Like that. That looks so much prettier. I love that. Now I am going to take this one and I'm going to match it up, and we're going to glue that down just like that. And I think for this I'm going to use Stampin' Seal. And this, I want it to mimic directly over top of that piece. So if I line the edges up, everything else should line up, and I can just press it down just like that. Perfect. So we still need one more piece like this. So we're actually going to need 3 pieces of the contour scallop die. So I'm going to cut this in half. Actually, I'm going to cut it. Y'all know I hate to waste cardstock, so I'm going to cut it to fit this. So let's go right here and bring that over to there. So yeah, it's going to be about 3 1/2. And I'm going to take this to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to zoom y'all back a little bit, because I want you to see exactly how I use this. I'm going to move those markers out of the way. Let's get our glue pen back in before I have a sticky mess. And I'm going to open up my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Best investment you'll ever make. This and the trimmer are awesome pieces to have in your craft supply. These are investment pieces. I love both of them. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and they cut, this machine cuts like nobody's business. I've never had a die cut machine that was so easy to use as this one. You never have to question your sandwich. You never have to question whether you need a shim. Everything works perfectly. And look how easy that goes through. I have no arm strength, so I needed a machine that would be easy for me to crank, and this one fits the bill every time. And it's gorgeous. I mean, look at it. It folds up, it's compact. I love it. Fits in a small space. And you still have that wide 6-inch cut base, which makes it nice. Alright, so let's get rid of that piece of trash, and we're going to pop this out. Now we're going to decide what we want to put in the middle, and what we are going to want to do here is we want this piece to mimic there, but we want to stamp first. So I'm going to get my real red ink pad, and I am going to grab, I think I'm going to grab, I always go back to the same stamp set because I love this Merry Christmas. And maybe I'll do Peace on Earth, Goodwill to All. I love that. I love it, I love it. Y'all can tell I have used these stamp sets. This Hope and Peace has been well loved this Christmas season. Now I'm going to stamp it up to the top just a little bit because I want to have room for my signing at the bottom. So I'm going to open up that stamp pad. I'm going to get a block. Load that up on the block and then ink it up. And then I'm going to bring it up to kind of to the top, but center it. Stamp it down. And straight up. If you stamp straight down and do not rock your stamp, hold it and then lift it straight up, you will get a nice image like this every time. So now what I need to do is I need to put adhesive on this. So I'm going to use Stampin' Seal again because I'm brave. And I want to lay this with this piece facing over top of this, and once I get that lined up perfectly where I want it, over top of that, because we want to make sure that that piece on the front covers this piece, I'm going to lay my card down on top of it and just press it. And now when you open that, I forgot that this piece needed to fold. That's okay. That is okay. Now when you open this, you have this beautiful piece that's going to fold in on top of that and fold in on top of this. Now if you want to put a few little snowflakes, that's where this little stamp set can come in. And I'm going to grab that smaller snowflake, and you know, really I should have done this when I first did this piece, but if you forget, you can still go in and put a few of the little red snowflakes. And I'm sorry, Bella is snoring up a storm over here in front of my desk. So I'm going to put one right there and one right here. Sorry about that. Maybe one right down here. And I think 3 is plenty. And we're going to embellish those 3 little dots as well. So I am going to grab some of my rhinestone basic jewels. And I am going to pull this off and put one right there in the middle of that snowflake. Please, I apologize for my dog snoring. I'm always apologizing for Bella snoring. If it's not her, it's Toby. Usually with Toby, it's Monday. So I'm doing this video for Tuesday, but it is actually Monday morning. And I'm surprised the trash truck hasn't. He's been barking earlier with the trash truck. So I'm surprised that he's not yakking it up right now. But there is our card. What do you guys think? I thought it turned out perfect, except I made a little boo-boo there with red ink. Let's see if the Mono Sand Eraser will take that off. Usually it will come right up. Just about got that. Yep, we did it. All right, there is that card, and here is our blue one with our little Mr. Moose. So you'll have to let me know which one of these cards was your favorite, and if this is something that you would like to do for a Christmas card. I think they're beautiful. I think they're both very festive. And we've got our little fun fold here. I don't know that I would have put this piece on without scoring that first, because it did not want to lay like I wanted it, but that was an aftersight. You could always stamp something under here if you like, but I think next time if I make that, I probably wouldn't put that piece under there. So in my instructions, I'm going to leave that piece off. I don't think you're going to need it. But there's our 2 cards. There they are on the inside and the inside. I love them both. I think they're both equally beautiful, and I think anybody would be happy to receive either one of these cards for their holiday cards. Thank you so much for tuning in for this tutorial. God bless and keep you, and as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy. And just in case you don't know this, the link to my online store is listed below. So if you want to shop any of the products that you saw me use today, you can go there. The order numbers will be listed on the PDF tutorial. So I try my best to make it as easy as possible for you to find the products that you might want, and also to to have a tutorial so you can see the pictures, the diagrams, the PDF tutorial. Everything is right there. So God bless and keep you until we craft again. Bye-bye.